Hey, I have a special video for you today. I spent about 25 minutes interviewing my friend Apathettic, who's one of the best Destiny players that I know. In particular, one of his biggest strengths as a player is minimizing his own engagement mistakes, while also capitalizing on the mistakes that other players make. In other words, it's incredibly hard to kill him because he's almost never in a bad position, but if you make one wrong step, you're a goner, and he might even use that opening to wipe your entire team. He's an insanely talented player and so fun to play both with and against. I always learn something new when we play together, and I wanted to use this opportunity to get inside of his head and turn it into a teaching opportunity to help you out. So if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up rating to help with the YouTube algorithm, and also remember to subscribe to the channel if you aren't yet. All of Apathettic's social links are going to be in the description as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the reason that I wanted to do this talk, especially with you, is that I feel like whenever we do 3v3 play, so we do a lot of scrims together with our little friend group, you are one of the most difficult players to kill in 3v3 because you are very good about minimizing mistakes and then capitalizing when other people make mistakes. And specifically what I'm talking about with that is that you are excellent at having the right weapon out at the right time. So for example, if I just try to go push you with a shotgun, you always have either the hand cannon or shotgun or whatever out at the right time, and you play the distance perfectly so that you punish those aggression moves. But then also you actually will always have either hand cannon or shotgun or whatever out at the right time. So it's really hard to catch you in a bad situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. No, I appreciate that because I've always tried to play very disciplined.
Keeping that in.
Very disciplined. When I play Destiny, and I think a lot of it comes down to reading your radar correctly. I think is the biggest mistake a lot of people make, because you can see right here like how far apart me and you are, but on my radar, like if I'm behind this box, you might as well be right behind this box.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no way to tell until we're about to see you. Until we get about there, all of a sudden you can see that you're at the further ring of the radar.
And I think a lot of people that ape, like if you go back to where you were, like a lot of people when they ape thinking you're like wake, like go like just a couple steps back. Yep. Yeah, like on my radar right there, you're still like as if you were standing right here.
Right. So,
there's no difference in how it looks as I move closer. So a lot of people, when they ape around the corner, they think like you're here, but then you're there. And so kind of really practicing, or I guess playing cautiously with your radar and not trusting it to like its fullest extent is one of the best things I've done. Because I found for a long time, I was misreading my radar. So I would like come around slide thinking you were going to be like here, and you're way over here.
I feel like that catches me off a lot too, actually, when I will do that. Like, for example, if I see you over there, I will like assume that someone's like behind the box here or like playing close, and then I have my shotgun out and all of a sudden the dude's right here. So then I have to like make a quick decision at that point. Do I go try to just push him and get the kill, or do I like backpedal with my hand cannon? And it's a tricky timing thing, because all of a sudden if you have the wrong weapon out for that engagement, you can get kind of in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And I think something you said there that is good, if you are still learning to get better with your radar, is that decision of engage or not. Like I think a lot of people when they see that red on their radar, they overcommit. Like I'm gonna take out my shotgun because the special weapons can kill most likely the fastest. I'm gonna come around this corner and like I'm all in. Yep. And that's the biggest, like one of the things that is like an all or nothing strategy, that if you're playing a better player, they're like you said earlier, they're going to punish you every single time. So like for example, on my radar, like you're really like you could be right here, but instead you're way over there. And so when I come around this corner, I'm going to slide out with my shotgun, right? I'm going to take that gamble of like maybe you're closer, because I'm also trying to think, okay, how would Pattycakes play this? I think he's a hunter. He's going to try to jump over the store. So I'm going to slide out with the expectation that you might be here. But if I see you there, I'm immediately sliding back. Immediately. Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed is that, so there's like kind of like the concept that like sniping is harder at beginner levels and becomes easier at like higher levels. And then shotgunning sort of the opposite, where shotgunning is very rewarding for lower level players and becomes harder as you become better, like as your competition becomes better, basically. And I think that's exactly why you just explained it. It's like at a lower level, you can probably run around literally just with your shotgun out and just, you know, come and get free kills basically by aping and jumping close. But and maybe we can even just demo this. Like, I will literally try to like come kill you with my shotgun, and you can just show like how you can play an engagement where like you'll basically kill me before I can even get close to you.
Mm-hmm.
So here, I'm gonna try it. So you get ready. Like, I'm gonna peek this, and I'll just try to actually ape you and see if I can kill you. Yeah, it's perfect. Like, I mean, that's a great example right there. Like, how a good player will move, especially if they're hitting their shots like that. You're not going to be able to close the gap if you're just trying to straight up ape someone.
Right, exactly. And I think something else too that really helps with this, and like that idea of like giving yourself gray area to engage or disengage, because a lot of times when people engage, like they slide out and they slide out here. Mm-hmm. So I'm in no man's land. So at this point in a game that's peer-to-peer, now it's up to me to win my shots or like commit and try to like hopefully make you miss and close that gap, versus if I slide out here and you're way farther and I have my shotgun out, okay, I can go back. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of like reposition from this other side, or it's like now I'm kind of engaging you from a position of strength versus like taking a fight out here. I'm 100% putting everything on my aim. And also depending on the lobby and other factors, like that could even like that's less likely to go in your favor. And so like when I take an engagement, like a term I like to use, and I heard it in some kind of lawyer show, and they said, I never want to negotiate. I only negotiate from a position of strength. And that kind of stuck to me, like in Destiny, is like I only want to engage from a position where I feel like I have the best chance to win. And if I'm going to lose, I can get away very easily, or like I can at least get behind cover and pop a rift or dodge or whatever class.
That's awesome. One of the terms I hear thrown around a lot too is being like one shot away from cover. So like, for example, like if I'm like coming to like peek this, like you said, I'm not going to come peek way wide like this because number one, I don't know where you are. Like talking about a radar thing, you could be sitting here watching it, you could be sitting behind one of these boxes, and I really don't know until I slide that angle. So instead of me trying to slide out like way wide and exposing myself to all these angles, it's much better to slide this like pretty narrow and like check, you know, you can kind of check like where someone might be by first clearing like this side and then like towards the right.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think something else too when it comes to knowing which weapon you want out at which time, part of like I tend to like if I know someone's using a shotgun, I think right now, especially in like the meta we're in right now, just before Beyond Light, that special weapons are very powerful and very widely used, and you know it's for good reason. They're incredibly powerful. And so knowing that, like I've tried to adapt to like a playstyle of creating space with like my primary. So for example, like if you're coming from like behind those boxes, like unless you're weak, I'm not pushing you over this box. I'm gonna basically what I'm gonna try to do is the same thing we talked about with our radar and how it's easy to misread it. I try to like play into that against other players. So I try to slide in and then I'll like slide away, and to make them think like I'm pushing in. And so what are you going to do? You're naturally going to come around with your shotgun because that's your best chance. And I'm going to slide away and like keep backpedaling and like cause you to push out unnecessarily and overcommit, because I'm basically trying to just bait your radar and how generous it is, because I know I'm not as close to you as you probably think I am.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I was just going to ask, like, what mistakes do you see newer players making in that regard? Like, when you play people who aren't as experienced, and for example, if like, I don't know, if someone's like sees you over there, like, how do you catch them off guard? But like typically when you're creating space like that?
When I'm creating space like that, I mean, there's a lot of variables that come into play, but the first thing I'll notice is for the biggest differentiator for me when I'm playing less experienced players, or like knowing that, is like their movement and like how much like they have one weapon out or another. If I see a player constantly switching, I know this is a player that's very confident like with both weapons. Like they feel like they have a good primary, they feel confident in their ability to use their special like effectively. So reading into that helps like how I play them. If I'm playing a less experienced player, it's kind of easy because less experienced players tend to heavily rely on their special, because it's going to be, I mean, on all levels the easiest to use. Like shotguns do have tiers of like skill to them, but on a base level, especially in the mode like sixes, it is the easiest to use. And like you said, like you can run around and like it can be semi-effective. And so I think people get trapped in like that false sense of security that comes with running around just shotgunning random people in the chaos of sixes.
Yeah.
So like if I see a player who's like here and they're like not really peek shotting me, they're just kind of like shooting at me and they go behind here, like that for me, if I'm over here, I know that they're probably not going to expect me to like come over. Like they're not going to be sitting here watching like this at the very top. They're going to probably be like watching from the left. So I'll immediately just push in and I'll just come float over and kill them.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because I know they're going to have a hard time. And is not to plug in Ascendant Nomad, but I'm gonna plug him anyway. In his video he posted on the Game Sense 102, he talks about like what is gonna happen next and asking that question. I know this player is gonna have a hard time guessing correctly what I'm gonna do next. So I can kind of just push them freely. So I think a lot of times it's like their positioning and then how like they kind of wait for stuff to happen versus putting themselves in a position to make the aggressing move, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. That's probably the number one thing.
Okay.
And again, it's just their movement. Like going back to how you play cover, like you said, playing one shot within cover. A lot of bad players like will play like out here, right? So like yeah, maybe you can get into cover, but like they don't have sometimes like they overcommit again to like the fight. So like if you like shoot me twice here, I can still slide in. A good player might start like slowly trying to get to this cover as they're being shot, but by that time like they're so weak, you're gonna push this box super hard because you know they're weak.
Yeah,
you're gonna close that gap.
That's a really good point. The other thing that I see a lot of newer players not doing is like, if you are in this situation where you're taking a fight here, is like, don't just like strafe in, but you can like literally run and slide in. And so number one, when you're doing that little like quick turn like that, you're gonna be much harder to hit. Like in fact, here, why don't you demo it? You can actually do that slide a little bit. You can see like how much harder it is to like actually hit when someone's moving that quick and they're low to the ground. And it's something I think a lot of newer players don't do, is they'll just like kind of slowly like ADS strafe over here, and you have like all day, especially with Destiny netcode, to hit that last shot to kill them. Whereas if they started moving a little quicker and did their little like slide to get behind cover, then it's gonna basically save their life, and they have a chance then to recover. And especially like you're on Warlock now, you could drop a rift back there, and then I'm in a tough situation because like I have to decide, do I push over and try to kill them? If they're popping their rift, they might already have all of their health back or a significant portion. So like I couldn't even go over for a single hand cannon shot anymore. So it opens up a lot of opportunities when you can stay close to cover like that.
And I think you also like bring up another important point is like knowing, like making a decision, right? Quickly once you have an enemy where you think they're compromised, right? So like you said in that example, like I'm hurt, I'm behind here, I pop a rift. You have very little time to decide. Are you going to push me, or are you going to continue to play your cover, or completely disengage because you know I have my health? I'm like, now I'm in the position of strength, even though initially I was hurt.
Exactly.
And I think, and I think that's another thing I think about is a lot of times people get people weak and they over commit again. Like they chase that enemy so hard, and they either play into their enemy spawn or they give up map control. Because they're so close to that kill, and they throw themselves out of position. So I could chase you all the way back and like back to this spot if you decide to disengage, and now your enemies come out here and here, and now I'm dead. And now it's 3v2 and we've given up like map control. And so that reminds me of when I used to play a lot of Halo 2 back in the day and played a lot of like multiplayer. There used to be always this term like when someone would kill you after you were chasing them. So if you were like chasing me and I killed you, they always be like, oh, noobs chase. Like that was always something that stuck with me. And it's still something I believe to this day. And like I'll tell people I'm playing with, they'll be like, oh, he's hurt, he's won, and they'll jump out to go kill him and they die. And I'm like, no, like you didn't need to push out there. Like at the end of the day, like if he gets away, like he gets away, but like if you jump out and die, that's even worse than if like maybe we got that kill, because we're still not in a good spot right now.
Well, especially then it depends on what your team situation is at the time, because if you run out by yourself, try to get that one kill, and then like what happens if one dude, their teammates like hear that rotation, they come out to help, and all of a sudden they're getting a shot on you now while you're trying to finish off that one guy. They kill you, you don't even kill their teammate, and then all of a sudden, instead of you having like a 3v2, they have a 3v2, and it's probably going to be a team wipe against your team just because of that one big mistake that you made.
Yeah, and I think the best thing you can do, like in those situations, is just calling it out and hoping one of your teammates can finish the kill. But again, a lot of people call it out, and as they're calling out, they're going so hard after that kill that, like you said, it ends up turning the tables really quickly. And what could have been, the advantage for your team, because we overcommitted for that one kill because for whatever reason we felt the gravity of that kill was worth more than it probably actually was.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I was going to mention too. Whenever we do play 3v3s together, I feel like you're really good at baiting people into making those plays somehow. Like kind of like you were talking about with the noobs chase thing. Like a lot of times I'll find that we will get you low and I think that you're an easy kill, but then you will do something like you'll hide with, pop a rift in a particular spot, or like you'll bait someone into like pushing and you'll have your shotgun out, and all of a sudden you've like turn the tables really fast, and it's like I think that I'm about to kill you, but instead I die and you're alive, and potentially finishing off my team depending on what the situation is.
Yeah, or sometimes it's like a trade at best when you have like two people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think what that comes down to is it kind of plays into like the knowing your cover, right? Because sometimes it happens to everyone. You're going to get caught out of position, and going back to the radar, I think it's just you, and it's you and Brave, or you and Castle, or you and whoever. And so now I'm like, oh, there's two. And so now I'm in the bad spot. And I think that's also like that part of that committing, or like playing that gray area, or playing one shot off cover, whatever you want to call it, is also knowing like what's your escape route. If you turn that corner and now there's a bunch of people there and you're being teamed and you have the time, like what's the way out to go, and where can you go to get like again that position of strength. So like I don't know, for like threes, I feel like a lot of times when I'm running, like I kind of run this way, and I like going this way because a lot of times what teams will do is they'll split.
Yeah
because they're trying to cut you off. And so for me, as I'm pushing this way, I know that turns this, I just made this 2v1 into a 1v1v1. And so now I just need to, I'm like going to commit to either one side or the other. And so if they're splitting, I'm going to probably run up like this, and then I'll slide back. So that's going to make this guy think that I'm committing all the way around. And so he's going to kind of probably push with this, probably a shotgun out, a little bit more like loose, I guess I would say. And then this guy's going to push a lot harder because he thinks I'm coming right at him. And then so I usually slide back, kill one, and then either run or slide back and, hopefully get a second kill. And so I think like when you get in those situations where you get caught off guard, that's where you want to try to get to a part of the map where you can make it like you can break them up and make it a 1v1v1. That's how you win those 1v3s and survive those scenarios, or trade at the very least. Because there's times you can make a play and like slide in shotgun one or slide in shotgun two if you're really close to them, but by and large it's like pretty rare, I would say, or it's not something you should get in the habit of trying to do.
That's such a good thing, like for newer players to learn too, as they're trying to learn how to do those like odd man situations like that. In fact, if you watch like professional Counterstrike, that's like one of the first things that you'll notice from really, really good players is they'll make their opponents look so silly because they'll turn a 1v5 into 5 1v1s, bait people into like bad situations where they'll get a quick kill and then take them out one at a time. And it's the type of thing you'll see really experienced players do, and it's all about movement and taking the right engagements and knowing like when to bail and try to get out of a bad situation.
Yeah, 100%. And like another version of that is like if you're fighting like two people and you're being laned from two areas, a lot of people, it goes back to like that playing your cover. They put them in position to get team shot and be in these scenarios where they're more likely to die. And when you're in those scenarios where you engage two people and like maybe you weren't ready for that, like an example is like if two people are pushing you from here and I'm here, I can slide in and hug this angle, and now I can see one of you as you come around, kill one, pop back, and like, and the assumption from the second player is going to be that I'm weak, or they're a call out that I'm weak, and now I can just play this wall and they're probably going to jump over and I can shotgun them. And so that's like another way, without like going on a foot race, that you can like create those 1v1v1 scenarios without like fully separating them, but more just knowing your cover. And by playing near cover, you set yourself up to like create those angles where I can kill you here and there's a person behind you, and now again I still have more wall and angle to work with that they have to like come to me.
Yeah.
And I
totally.
think like in those scenarios you talked about where like you have someone trapped and you think you're going to kill them, having a getting into a place where they have to come to you sets you up to at least get a trade, because now you're kind of like funneling them in, right? And so now like I know if I'm playing a certain spot, you and Castle or Brave can only come from so many angles, so now I just have to choose one and hope it works out.
Yeah, that's actually such a good point too. Just the entire concept of like angle management, something I know we've all talked about a lot, but that's like such a good example of it. One thing
exactly.
I wanted to ask you about was so we were talking about this before we started recording, is like the frustration sometimes of playing against a good sniper, like who's going to hit a high percentage of shots. How do you as a player tend to play around that? Like if you know someone is like a really good sniper and they're not going to miss that much, like what do you do differently as a player in that situation?
Oh man, I think knowing your distance is super important, because what you got to do at taking count is like damage drop off and like how flinch works in this game.
Yeah.
And I just kind of always go with the assumption that snipers just don't get flinched. Like I know they do, but it helps me mentally to just play like they don't, because it's going to make me play a lot more cautious. So versus playing like, oh, I'm going to turn in, I'll flinch them. No, I'm not going to play that way, because I feel like that's going to open me up to get sniped more with how flinch works.
Even if you hit your shots, it's a 50-50 chance that they just dome you anyway. It doesn't even matter.
Exactly. So like if we were to go over here, like for example with like a sniper, I'm not going to engage a sniper from like that distance, because one, my damage drop off is going to be higher, and
best case you're probably taking what, 4 shots from this, I imagine. Probably four headshots to kill, whereas like a sniper takes 1, so your odds of winning that situation are quite low.
Right.
And that's
and I think it's just like, going back to the committing thing, it's with snipers specifically, especially like a really, really good sniper. Like I think of people like you, my friend Ace, and you may have played against, is a pretty good sniper as well, and there's plenty of them out there. Is you just, if you're gonna slide out on them, and you know, like if I peek out and I see you with your red dot and I slide back, then I decide I want to challenge, like I am full, like I'm sliding at you, I'm not sliding out, I'm gonna slide like angularly towards you to get myself closer, because with the short zoom scope, I feel like it makes it maybe a little bit harder, but also too, I need to make sure I'm doing full damage.
Right. So here's 68. So this is full dire promise damage. That's such a good point. I actually hadn't thought of that much. Where it's something I guess I do as well, where your goal is always to be like closing the gap against the sniper, because then all of a sudden they have to either hit a ridiculous close range flick shot, or they have to pull out their primary, and then you have the potential advantage because you can even get closer and have a shotgun, or just win your primary duel where you've already maybe hit a shot or two.
Exactly. And also too, just like knowing where that sniper is at all times on the map, and like just be, if like you're playing in a more competitive environment, say like threes, knowing like, okay, I know Patty's sniping, okay, Pattycakes is, I don't know, wherever, and knowing where you are, that helps me, because now like if I'm gonna engage you, I'm gonna be super aggressive with my shotgun, because I know you're immediately gonna try to put your sniper away, because you're gonna try to switch to that primary, hopefully, or maybe not.
Might just go for no scope.
Yeah, exactly. We're not gonna talk about it though. But I think that's something I also, it's like two sides of the same coin. Like for challenging snipers can be really hard, but if you play them at the right distance, like it can become very simple. Like at the end of the day, like I'm gonna come around this corner and push you really hard, and if you hit a jumping no scope on me, I'm just gonna have to live with that, because that's gonna be the rarity. It
comes down to a percentage thing, right? It's like you did the right play most of the time, and 1 out of 10 times I might hit like a ridiculous shot on you, but like most of the time, like the other 9 times, you probably killed me with a shotgun because you played it properly.
Right, exactly. And we were kind of talking about this, like sometimes you slide out and you headshot me before I can even react, and like that's going to happen too with good snipers. Like you can't read too much into it and be like, oh, like get too frustrated about it. You just have to say, cool, like was there anything I could have done differently on that play If not, then like on to the next, you know, and don't dwell too much on it. I think people get very caught up in like, oh my god, snipers are broken and stupid flinch and jam drop. Like you go on and on and on about all you know, all the things, but at the end of the day, like if you're still talking about it while still trying to play on, like it's going to affect you the rest of the game. It kind of gets in your head a little bit to where like you're just going to keep getting sniped, in my opinion, because you're just like almost expecting it, and you're not, and you're going to play it more passively. Like you're going to try to play more back when you should be playing closer.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we did a really good job covering the subject. I think if people like this, maybe we can even do like, you know, a series where we talk about a lot of things like this, because I'm sure there's a lot of ways that we could expand this towards different topics and maybe even cover some particular maps and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's so many things that we could go like dive deeper into, because again, there's just so many things that seem simple, like pushing with a shotgun, and they are simple, but it doesn't mean they're easy. So, you know, I look forward to seeing how people react.
Absolutely. Do you want to drop your socials and where people can find you so we can plug your channels a little bit?
Yeah, so on YouTube, you can find me at youtube.com/apathetic. On Instagram and Twitter, it's going to be, you know, /apathetic YT, or for YouTube. And that's going to be all my socials right there. Oh, Twitch as well. It's just twitch.tv/apathetic. All the places you can find me.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you so much for doing this with me. This was really fun.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, so that wraps up this interview. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time talking with Appa and editing this one together. If you did enjoy it, please let me know by leaving a comment below, and also heading over to Appa's channels and letting him know that you found him through our collaboration. If you'd like to see us do more videos like this one and cover additional topics, let me know in the comments as well. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video, and turn on notifications, because even if you're subscribed, a lot of times YouTube actually won't show you the video in your sub box if you don't have them on. I also stream every week over on Twitch. You can catch me live over at twitch.tv/pattycakespc. So if you enjoyed this video, I have another recommendation for you. This one covers advanced movement techniques that top hunter players use to dominate in PvP. It's the top video over on the right side of your screen. The bottom one is whatever YouTube thinks you might like the most. That's all for now. Catch you guys next time.